am Comedian Nazareth coming to you all the way from Corona, California on episode number 89 of the Laughter for All podcast. Thank you guys for subscribing to our podcast. Thank you so much for making us in the top, 75 now? I don't know. One time we were 56, then 64, then I don't know where we're at today, but we're doing good. We're doing good. So thank you guys, and I hope you are learning and enjoying and entertained by what we're doing. So I really appreciate that. Let's see. Uh, uh, we were supposed to have Alan Goodwin. Thank you for joining us, and Sarah. Hello. Uh, we were supposed to have a therapist with us, a clinical therapist, and for reasons we cannot discuss on the show, we could not have her this time, but we will have her in the future. Right now, we're working on getting my friend, actor, comedian Kent Yamawaki to join the show with us. And so far, we're having some technical difficulties, and that's why it hasn't been good. But anyway, I just want to encourage you to watch our live with Naz every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. We are approaching 300 shows, so really, really interesting um, that we're able to do that. And thanks to you guys, we've been with you since the pandemic started. And as of now, uh, today they opened up the state. So what happened is, I think our quarantining is over. People are getting to the point where they don't have to wear masks anymore in certain places. So really, it's good to be able to do that. So, but we're continuing with this show and we're continuing to bring it to you. So, right now, while we're waiting for my friend Diamo to join the show, I'm gonna bring my son John to join us. And hi, John.
Hey, this
Uh,
is.
I-
Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you
Oh, perfect.
now.
Yes. Go.
What you guys, I don't know if most of you know, John graduated from Biola University as a film director. And ever since he's been 7 years old, he's been with a camera trying to shoot films, little things, big things. But about 6 months ago, a German bank, a Deutsche Bank, decided to do a film contest, and they really filtered who they want in the contest. So there were, I don't know how many people were there, but they picked about 9 people, around 9 people.
10 people.
What? 10
10 people.
people. Okay, I'm close enough. 10 people, and out of the 10 people, they asked them to shoot a 4-minute video to show how good they are. And John did one called Dear Mama. And it was the story about my wife, Maha. The first week she came in from the Gaza Strip where we got married, and she moved to the US. And that first week, how she felt about living in America for the first time, just going from a third world country into this. And I want to encourage you to watch it. It's on my Facebook or under John Riscala's Facebook. You can watch it, but really, really, it's a good piece. So a lot of you voted for him, but actually, it didn't. He did not win the audience award. I know he should have. I think he did, but he didn't. But he won the first award, which is $10,000. So, John,
Oh,
as we are waiting for my friend, welcome. You're the best filler I can have in the show. How
yeah.
are you?
I feel every show that live. I miss hosting live with Naz. I really do. It's been a while, and I'm sad that
Well,
I won't be able to. Can you hear me?
why?
Am I good?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, your
Okay.
voice is cutting off and on, but that's fine.
Sorry about that. It's the best you can
You
get
know what?
because you're
Yeah,
here.
yeah. So, what made you think of? Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Just quickly tell us, because Yamo is here. So, tell
Yes,
us a
please.
little bit quickly. What make you want to do the film, and how did you feel when you won that $10,000?
Um, I wanted to make the film because I can't think of any creative ideas, so I have to use my parents' stories to use them. But no, I made it in December, and I've always wanted to, like, the main stories I've always wanted to tell are the stories that you have wanted, like, have told me as I was growing up. So, like, your story I made last year, and now mom's story. I just had to make it even, so it's not like I'm only making one film about one parent. And so mom's story is like very dear to my heart. And the prompt was about Los Angeles and water. And mom would always take us to the beach and go, like, when we'd see the sunset, it'll be like the sun is leaving to go say hi to your mom, to my mom,
Oh,
my grandma.
oh,
And
your
so I
grandma.
thought of the water and like LA, and I thought of that prompt of her coming to America for the first time and just the differences. And it just so happened that the film came out the week where everything was going on back there and everyone's
Yeah.
eyes were on it. And it was great. Winning top prize. I remember right before they announced my name, just me going, please, God, please, God, please, I'll be a pastor. Please, if I win this one. And my name was chosen. It's not announced yet, so you are the first to know. Um,
Yeah.
we find out Saturday if I win.
Okay.
But
Perfect. Well,
don't spread it yet until
I
Saturday.
want.
It's
We
yeah.
want.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John, for your time for filling in. Our guest is here, so let's welcome our guest, ladies and gentlemen. This man is a good friend of mine. Okay, why is that happening? Why are we hearing this? Okay, it's good. No, now you're good. Uh, all right, ladies and gentlemen, this is my friend Kent Yamawaki. Uh, oh, I think. Do you have headphones? Yeah, Kent. Because I think you're underwater. First time, this is my friend in the aquarium of the Pacific. He's underwater right now, but you can't see it. But he just went to get some oxygen to be able to be on the show. We're trying our best to make sure, that they are able to be clear and you can hear them. So as we're waiting for yeah, Ken to join us, we are well, we want to thank John. I mean, I'm so proud as a dad. I mean, as a father, you don't need a reason to be proud of your kids, but this kid's giving me a lot of reasons to be proud of him. And we're gonna move from directing movies to acting because Yamo is an actor, and so we'll be ask him a lot of questions about acting, about uh, comedy, about being a single man, being a single father, and all that jazz. So let's see if Yamo, are you able to hear me?
Can you hear me? Because I cannot hear
I
you.
can hear you. Yes, I can hear you very
I
well.
can't hear you. He was
Okay,
up with
I
my
can hear you.
computer today, and I'm Asian and I can't fix it.
You're
Yeah,
Asian and you can't fix your phone. That's
um,
called. Have you
but I can't
experienced?
hear you now,
What?
so let me mess with that. So go talk
You
to your
can.
son again.
Okay, you cannot hear me, so we'll put you back on
Oh,
this. All right, let's bring John again. Hi, John.
I think I'm on Good
You're
Morning America. That's how it
yeah.
feels.
This is So, how is the weather where you at, John?
I'm downstairs, so we're closer to the center of the earth, so it's a little warmer, but heat
Yeah,
rises. So yeah,
yeah.
I
I'm
feel like I said that I'm not going to host for a month, and I didn't explain why. I am going and for a month to Baltimore and New York starting Thursday. I'll be there for a month, so no live with Naz appearances. I apologize, but when I come back, it'll be strong. But yeah, I've always wanted to live in New York, and I finally get the opportunity to this month. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm up here. I'm at 20 feet above you, and I think that it's a lot hotter where we at than you are. But so you, I've always thought you're gonna be a comedian, but you are. Yeah, I mean, you did comedy. You can do comedy as good as any professional comedian. But your heart is into film.
Mm-hmm.
story making. And
Yes.
let me bring Yamo on the picture because Yamo is an actor too. So let's see if Yamo can hear us. Yamo, are you there with us? Yamo, let's see.
I can hear
Are
you.
you
Can you
here?
hear me?
Can you
We
hear
can
me?
hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Okay. So
Good.
Yamo, let's see. You were a comedian. You're still a comedian.
Yep.
We've done comedy together forever, but then you decided your heart was into acting more.
That is correct.
And
The reason now I'm getting echoes, so that's going to bother me. Um, the reason for that was being raised as an Asian. You get to the family suppresses your emotions, and so it's hard to get them out. And so acting allowed me to do that. And I'm still probably not quite there, but I have the techniques and the tools to do that. But as John would know, the camera can see that when you're not true to yourself. So it's been a long
but
process.
But you don't think comedy can you can be true to yourself doing stand up? Because to me, I feel I'm more free on stage to be able to say how I feel than I am behind a camera where they tell you what to do, like read this line and this is how you need to act. How is that?
Um, it's just a different approach when you have a director may tell you, "Oh no, I don't, add this, add that, take this away." So you have to be able to access that within yourself.
Okay, so as a John, as a director, what do you think? How are you expressing yourself?
Yeah, I'm also a writer, so that's kind of the best way to express yourself. But directing is expressing yourself like through like remaking life in a way. So it's all your worldview. So the way the actors are saying something are the way like well actors bring in their own expertise, but at the same time it's through the characters you've created. Where comedy's great for me because it's like you think of something and you can make it right away, say it on stage. Where in film, you think of an idea, it takes about a year to make your idea something, and like the editing process, the filming process, all that. So by the time you're done with it, you're like, I don't even believe in this idea anymore.
Mm.
That makes
No, no,
sense.
I know. Yeah, that's the difference because the reason I'm a comedian is I want the immediate reaction from the audience.
Yes.
I want to do something. I want to hear it. As an actor, you might not find that out for another 6 months or a year,
Mm-hmm.
and then so Yamo, what do you? How do you balance that? Because as a comedian, you want immediate reaction, but as a actor, you're not gonna get that till after the show's out.
Right. You kind of get that more from the work, and if you know you've done the characters dead on, you're going to feel pretty good. So it is become you don't need so much of the audience approval like you do
Mm.
in stand up. Um, just know when you hit it right.
Good, good. Okay, John, thank you for your time. I mean, now that we can hear Yamo. Yamo, this show
Yes.
is about being honest, completely honest. And I want to,
Oh,
can we talk about any, number one, have you experienced any Asian hate?
yes. I experienced Asian hate at a very young age. My parents never liked me.
Your parents never liked you.
True.
But
They
in
still don't.
seriousness, are you experiencing anything now?
No, not at all.
No.
I think
Okay.
that's just media blog. Um, and then anyone who, well, I don't live in Irvine anymore, but I did. There's nothing but Asians in Irvine. So,
And Irvine and Persians, right?
yeah.
No, I've known you since 19, probably before I was a believer. So it was in 1990, 1991. No, actually, yes, 1990, 91, we met.
Hmm.
And can I be completely honest or would that offend you?
No, I guess this is a show about honesty.
Okay, you were married to an alcoholic
Yep.
and you're a believer and you're doing your best. I mean, you really were sacrificing your life and you're you're ex, let's call, she was like an not functioning alcoholic, and then you had two boys, and they were very young, and you had to leave and raise them by yourself.
Correct. Yeah.
What was that like? What was like being married to an alcoholic? I know some people watching can maybe
Identify with that.
relate.
It's extremely difficult because it is a progressive disease. So it just gets worse and worse. And there's a saying that I'm getting echo. Let me take my headphones
Yeah,
off. If
you
that's
can
all
take it off.
right.
Sure.
So what it is you do this. So what happens is you sit there and you try to survive. You know, the alcoholic, AA meetings, it's about living one day at a time. So you end up living one day at a time. So a psychiatrist or psychologist basically once said that the person with the most dysfunction in the household runs the household because now you have to shift and do everything to accommodate what they are doing. So trying to just plan a day or a vacation a week from now, or sometimes it even got down to an hour from now. You couldn't plan that because they may be drinking and now you can't go out. So you have all these plans and you can't make plans anymore. And so that was probably the most frustrating thing was the inability to plan. And if you're a planner like I am, it's extremely frustrating. So you just have to deal with a lot of those types of issues. And then, of course, the question becomes, you know, if you were to true to yourself, are you really part of the problem as well? You kind of do have to ask those questions. Why were you attracted to that person? Why did you marry them? So there's a lot of things that when you really start digging deep, and eventually you do have to look at yourself. Um, I was once told that, sadly she did pass away, and from the alcoholism. But I had an acting instructor who said, yeah, she's probably always wanted to take her life, but she just never had the courage to do it. And
Mm.
and how can I put that? So, um, and one of the things that I think is just by my upbringing and how I am is the term would be I'm not really emotionally available. So there's probably a lot of things she didn't get from me, and so that's an issue. But then later on, of course, there's other things that she was diagnosed with, and of course, the alcohol is just to hide the pain. So there's just, I mean, it is obviously just not as simple as someone drinks. It's pretty complex when you really get down to it, family history and so forth.
So you moved out. You moved with your two boys. They were ages what? 4 and 2 or 6 and 4?
Let's see, Brandon was in the fifth grade and Aaron was in the second grade. So you have to do the math. What's that, +5? That's how old they were. Because I don't remember their exact ages.
Now, how hard was that raising kids as a man? Because normally we always hear single mom, single mom, single mom. But you were a single dad. You had to raise them, take them to school, clean their clothes, do laundry, cook, and work full-time job.
Right. However, for me, it was much easier to do that only because now I didn't have the ex-wife or the alcoholic wife. So it was actually easier than it was when I was married and trying to raise boys. Because even then, technically, I was a single dad. Even though we were married, living in the same house, you're doing all the things that a single dad would because she was pretty much run 24/7. So for me, it wasn't as difficult. I still was doing all the cooking, all the cleaning, all those things just to keep the house going. And then so when we actually had moved out and got away from that, we no longer had to deal with the other elements that was really creating a lot of issues. Luckily, God being the great guy that he is, gave me two boys. Now, if I had a girl, that would have been really difficult. I would not have known what to do. That would have been difficult. So, always wanted to hold that.
Now, how have you thought for a while, like, hey, I need to get married right away so I can have a female, a woman, a mother raise them? Or no, you didn't think that?
And so, what's the question again?
the question again is like, have you, like, when you moved out with just your boys and said, you said, oh, they need a mom, they need a female person in their life. So were you thinking, I need to get a girlfriend right away, I need to get married, I need to have someone help me raise the kids?
No, because I knew that I had to raise the boys just so they could have somewhat of a normal life from the chaos that they were involved with. I also knew that I was attracted to women with a compulsive behavior. So I would
Huh.
probably, if I jumped into it right away, that I would just marry the same woman, different in a different body, and so that's why I avoided that. So I didn't date for 9 years. I just focused on the boys for 9 years. However, they will probably tell you I didn't. But you remember, I used to drag them to our comedy shows all those times when they were growing up, which basically has helped them out in their current careers. Basically, one's
Yeah.
obviously an improviser, a brilliant improviser, the youngest one, and now he's in radio, and he's an on-air DJ personality for a Christian radio station up in Oregon. And then, of course, my other son, he does what your son does. He's basically making a lot of movies and film and a lot of commercial work, but still same type of thing.
No, I have my hat off to you. You did a great job raising them. I mean, they're both great kids. They're wonderful. I love them. I mean, I love both. In fact, I meet with them. I'm going to go to Bend next week, and or in 2 weeks, I'm going to be with Aaron, and then I'm having coffee with your Brandon in the next week. But you said something very important.
They never
What?
tell me that. They
No, no.
never tell me.
I tell him. Don't tell him that.
Yeah,
But I was in their life a lot when, because we used to
correct,
go do comedy all the time together. And we drag them with us too, right? But you said something interesting. You said you're attracted to women with compulsive behaviors. How did
correct.
you realize that? How did you know that?
I can remember there's acting was a lot of people go through psychology, so they'll see a psychiatrist, a counselor, or whatever. Um, they'll go to Al-Anon meetings to discover things. Luckily, I had a brilliant acting coach who Monty Stevens, who passed unfortunately 2 years ago, who was probably
Yeah.
the strongest influential person in my entire life as far as an adult. And he really opened my eyes to the counseling kind of things. But the way I really discovered is one day I was in the store and I'm walking down with my cart, and there was this girl walking by. We kind of made the glances or whatever, and the little things kind of sparks or whatever you want to call it, connection or whatever that is. And I discovered that inevitably, if I would just see them check out, they always had alcohol or were buying cigarettes. And that happened every single time. So finally, one day I met someone and said, hey, I'm going to go against type. And we never did marry, but we're still really, really good friends. And probably still one of my better relationships overall. But yeah, going against type was a challenge for me, but I did it. It turned out to work out really well for me. We're still really good friends.
We'll get back to you being a single man for all those years, and you're still single. But let's go back to the comedy. We did comedy together. You're the one who actually led me to Christ, and you invited me to church, and my entire the trajectory of my life and my career and everything changed. So I know you're gonna get points for that in heaven. And but what I'm saying is, you're very funny. It's not like you were not good at comedy, so you went to acting. You're very funny, and then you decided, I'm gonna become an actor, and you started doing acting, and you were doing commercials and other stuff. And I think to this day you would rather, if someone give you the option, would you do comedy or acting, you would pick acting, right?
Yeah, I would probably pick the acting because, again, I said being raised as an Asian, I won't say term oppressive, but I can always remember my mom and dad always saying, don't make a big deal out of it. So it's just like how we raise boys. Most times we tell boys, toughen up, don't worry about it. We kind of disregard their feelings. Girls, we don't. So with all those kind of oppressions, again, acting allows me to do that and kind of it allows
Oh,
me to cry and things like that. I guess I would say that. Now, in real life, I still don't cry very much. I mean, I can cry on, in a scene if I need to, but I don't necessarily do that in real life. But obviously, it must be there somewhere because I have to tap into that in order to do that.
Now, I remember Lonnie Stevens, our acting coach. It's funny, before many, like 15 years before Bill Cosby was caught, he warned us about him. He's like, we never like, oh, we love Cosby. He's a funny. He goes, don't mention that guy's name. He ruined so many people's lives, and we never thought of it. But he had a lot of insight into acting. But my question to you, like, for people who are watching, my fans and people who are listening to this, they're not actors. They probably won't be actors. What is something they can learn from an actor? Like something, a kind of a technique or something that helps in real life. Is that a
Well, the the number one rule in acting is to thine own self be true.
to
And
thy
that is
known
really the
self
hardest
be
thing
true?
is finding the truth of yourself. A lot of people say, yeah, I know myself pretty well. Probably not really true. You're probably lying to yourself. You never know how you're going to act in any given situation. The old saying is when you squeeze a lemon, you get lemon juice. When you squeeze orange, you get orange juice. When you get squeezed, what comes out? And hopefully, as a mainly Christian audience, you got your nine spiritual gifts: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness. What's the other one?
Long,
Self-control and faithfulness. You want those things to come out when you get squeezed. So again, to thine own self be true, and that's really, really hard to do. Actors spend their entire lives trying to be true to themselves and try to get away from the lie. Because we all are actors. How many times that you're in an argument with someone and the phone rings, it's hello. That's shifting gears, and that's kind of like being an actor. So that would be the one. It's a little bit more complex. This is this is acting again. In life, there are only four objectives, right? And that's get help, not in any order. Get help, do your job, reestablish a relationship, establish a relationship. Now, establishing a relationship, especially in being single, is you're going to go to a singles retreat because one, you kind of want to meet somebody. So that's kind of like establishing a relationship. Reestablish a relationship is, let's say you did meet somebody and then now you're going to call them a week later or however many days you want to call them back. If you're desperate, you'll call them back the next day. Anyway, but those are the two things. But the other two is do your job and get help. That's the most common thing in life. So when people do things and it doesn't make sense to you, it's because it makes sense to them because there are certain objectives and there's order to things. So we are living with a God of order. So when things seem out of order to us, it's not out of order to them. And if you start following it, the odds are it's going to meet one of those four objectives. They're either doing their job, which could be to take care of themselves. They're getting help, which they're going to church on a Sunday because they need prayer or something like that. So those are just really fast in a nutshell things you could probably learn that I learned at least from acting that I probably use in everyday life. If that makes sense.
it makes a lot of sense. So the four are, establish a relationship, reestablish a relationship, do your job, and get help.
Yes.
And that's what everyone in real life is doing as they're interacting with other people. That's exactly what we're doing. This is very,
Now
very inter.
there are sub objectives, but those are the main ones that are driving everything. And you'll find that sometimes you're at work and you've got to you have to be out of the house and or out of the office and get somewhere by 6 o'clock because whatever the situation is. So your boss calls you in at 5:05, and so the way you treat him is going to be different than you would if you didn't have that objective of something occurring at 6 o'clock. Uh, so that's just again an adjustment that we make.
That's
That,
interesting. Interesting. What do you call it? When you boys got older, you started dating again,
yes.
and you knew you were looking. You had this in you that you always look for people with dysfunction. How did you change that? What did you change? I mean, how can you tell if the person you're gonna meet don't have a lot of red flags or dysfunctions?
Um, Again, I went against type, and when I say type, basically more of an emotional type, and it doesn't. You don't get the whistles and bells that you do that I would with somebody with a dysfunction. So that gets into chemistry. People will say, "Oh, we don't have chemistry." So for me personally, I've come to the realization that chemistry for me is a signal that goes off that I'm looking for someone to fill that void that I have. I probably, because I don't drink, but I thought, gee, it'd be great to be the party person or that kind of stuff. And it's totally opposite of what I am because I'm kind of an introvert. So I'm looking for someone to take the place of those things that I lack. And so, but that's what creates the chemistry, I think. So I know people talk about chemistry and it's wonderful. And it is for a short time, but reality always does come into effect. I mean,
Hmm.
people say that they have to have chemistry. I don't think, do we ever say that we have chemistry with Jesus Christ, or did Jesus have chemistry with us? I don't know, that's just a thought off the top of my head. I'm just throwing that out. I don't think we look at Jesus and say, wow, well, you probably do have chemistry, but that's because he could be all things. So maybe I'll take back what I just said.
Interesting. And now, have you ever got, man, I've been single for so long. I don't know. Do you start blaming yourself sometimes or no?
Um, no, I'm probably not the most emotional, accessible person there is. So which the benefit of that is I don't go through a lot of stress or I don't go through a lot of trauma. So
Oh,
I'm pretty happy with how things are. It'd be nice, sure, um, but I don't know how. I just I never really feel bad about it because I'm pretty happy with how I currently my current status. Even though I've been dating somebody recently that's a therapist, and it brought up a lot of things. So a lot of challenges ahead, I think, in my life. If I want to change, but it's like, I'm too old to change. But they'll go anywhere if you don't grow, so might as well keep growing.
so you're dating a therapist that brings up, like, she can figure you out and tell you what's wrong with you. Is that a healthy relationship when she's always telling you? I mean, I thought you need to be married to have someone tell you your problems, but
Um, it's my objective. Sadly, the objective might be a little skewed because as an actor, it's really great because you discover things. And again, to me, therapists and acting coaches are very similar. They call you on your stuff, and so that's kind of how it goes.
that so you're actually taking advantage of that of
Yeah,
her being an actress and stuff. So
but then that way, since I have all these issues, apparently, that I was unaware. Anyway, is that way she can write a book, and so I'm helping her too in that way because I will fill volumes of the book, and that will be a bestseller that will turn into a movie one day. So there you go, mutually
uh,
beneficial.
what I don't know if that I don't. This doesn't sound. But let me ask you a question. Do you feel a lot of people from the Asian culture are kind of withdrawn to themselves? They don't express themselves.
Um, that's actually, I think that's sort of true overall. Certain cultures are a little bit different, especially if you watch like Korean movies. They're very more in touch with who they are. They're much more an emotional Asian culture. Chinese, sort of the same way, um, but at the same time, a little bit as subdued as well. And you can kind of tell when you watch the movies, when I watch Japanese movies, the actors are very, use the term staccato. Um, it's much of a harder effort to see them just be as opposed to some of the other cultures. So I do see now. This is funny because my sister mentioned this because I do know in Japan there is that tendency, and I forgot there's an actual study, and it had to do with being able to connect with people, and it actually has to do with the lack of zinc within their diet. So Some people may say yes or no to that, but I kind of see it that way. And it was just funny. My sister, when I was in Japan, was telling me, oh, a lot of the Japanese women are going over to Korea, and I'm going, I thought the Japanese don't get along with the Koreans. But apparently the reason was there's a show that's from Korea that airs in Japan, and it's about this Korean man, and he's very sensitive and very emotional. And so all the women think that all Korean men are like that. So they're going over there on vacation. Maybe hope they can find this connection that they don't get from Japanese men.
That's funny. That's funny. So, what do you call it? As a again single dad right now, boys are older. You know, one of them have grandkids. Kids and grand. What do you feel they missed being without a mom all these years? Have you noticed something in them that go? Maybe that's why, because they didn't have a mom growing up.
Well, I mean, they really miss that whole nurturing thing that a mother can provide. So when I look at the youngest son, Aaron, who married a wonderful wife, and
Yeah.
she is just such a nurturing. So she provides that for him. So he's really, really fortunate that he has that. And then he could see how when she raises his kids, just that whole nurturing that she brings about that I really didn't provide. So he really sees that going on. Then my oldest son, he's been married now just 2 years, so hasn't really seen the nurturing capability yet of what a woman can provide, in my opinion. Maybe he has. But the oldest son really got most of his nurturing from his grandmother. My mom, actually both grandmothers, were pretty nurturing, so they did get it from their grandmothers. Really see how that is, as opposed to from their mothers.
Now, are you angry at God, going, why is my marriage? She's an alcoholic. She passes away. I have to risk it by myself. Look at me. My life could have been different. Have you ever had these thoughts?
No, not really. I always look at it as all of a sudden you'll get to heaven and your life is laid out, and you'll go, oh, no wonder you did that, because you avoided this, or I avoided something maybe even worse. So again, our ways aren't God's ways, and I've never really ever went there. I always had that feeling that God did it because He was trying to lead me down another way. The analogy would be, okay, God says, I want you to go to New York. So now you could take Highway 40, which is the south route. You could take Highway 80. So we get to choose, in a way, which way we want to go. And so God may say, really don't want you to take the Highway 80 route. I want you to go through the southern route because I have things laid out for you in that direction. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be a lot better than if you took the northern route where, something disastrous could have happened.
Now, as far as you work a lot with Christian single groups,
Yes.
you've been very involved with Mariners, and then with the group right now, it's called the OC Singles.
Or Cassie was required.
What do you think? I mean, single men over 40. What's the problem? If there's a problem or something.
Wow, that's interesting. That is a huge loaded question that my current girlfriend would love to address. Give you advice. However, I think the older we get, because we've been through life, we get hurt more. We start looking at the red flags, the reason why we shouldn't get married, as opposed to when you're younger in your 20s, you're looking for reasons why you should get married. Boy, that is such a loaded question. I'll just be blunt. There are a lot of guys out there who are, because their age, they're going to be overweight, but they still think they deserve, someone who tips the scale at 99 pounds. So there's still that mentality out there. I just happened to go to a retreat this past weekend, and of course now you're sleeping in a large room with a bunch of guys who are in their, late 40s, 50s, 60s. And I got to tell you, it wasn't the most pleasant thing to look at. And it was like, wow, you guys need to really get to the gym and take care of yourself if you want to be in any kind of relationship. If you're going to have that expectation, if you're going to have that an expectation personally, then if you want the for lack of term, the model type relationship with a woman, then you better be a model type male. Otherwise, don't think it's going to roll that way.
So what's your encouragement? What is your advice to someone over 40 who's single who wants to get in a relationship? What do you tell them?
Um, Make yourself the type of person that a woman would want to marry. And there's a lot there in order to do that. But I always, someone had actually said that, and she just prayed, God, make me the type of woman that a man would want to marry. A man would have to say the same thing. God, make me the type of man that a woman would want to marry. And all the answers are in the Bible. I mean, there's a lot of pop culture. There's a lot of books, relationship books you can read. And they're beneficial. I mean, you can always use those as well to, support what you're thinking. Bible, of course, is always still the ultimate answer. Because I started looking at some other books, and it was kind of interesting because sadly it is somewhat of a game, that it is out there. Like, oh, don't call a person after 3 days. The phone is or texting, whatever it is, for making appointments. You really need to have the date to really get a grasp of who they are and see what the attraction level is. But there's a lot there. I can spend hours on that.
Oh, I think Bobby Miller wrote something and I didn't read. I'm going to read it. He said, my dad was always working, so he was not even ever home. And at one point in his life, when he turned 55, I believe I was 12 years old, he had major heart problems and even thought he was home and early retired because of hell. He was just not able or capable of being a dad because of dealing with health problems. So I basically grew up without a dad. I had to teach myself how to become a man in this world. I have and will always love and miss my dad. I know. So it's not always the case where, there's a dysfunction or anything, but sometimes it happens. But uh, so your boys turned out healthy, and so now I'm gonna ask you the other question. What do you tell single women? You meet a lot of single women in your group, in the Christian group and stuff, and you notice sometimes what do they need to do? What's the problem there? There's a higher expectation. What is it?
Let me think on that. That's another question. Um, but there's almost a balance because I've been involved with this so long. There is a balance of, I use the term dysfunctional men, and there are somewhat dysfunctional women. There are some great women, and there are some great guys. I just think, but I've seen more dysfunctional men than I have seen women who operate, for lack of a better term, dysfunction. But yeah, it's kind of like I have to use. Male dogs have more problems than female dogs. I don't know if anyone knows that, but that is kind of the way it goes in male life. I couldn't tell you why, and I'm not bagging on men or trying to emasculate them. It's just what I see. It is
Single men have a lot more problems than single women.
Yeah, I just see that. I don't. Then there's a whole different category. You've got single guys who've never been married. Then you've got single guys who've been married with no kids. Then you have single people who have kids. And so there's a whole different dynamic because when you've been living single for yourself for a long time, you come from a very selfish place. But when you have kids, you understand the sacrifice. So, that's kind of look for that. But that is certainly a mentality that people with kids certainly handle themselves different than people that not, or someone who's never been married. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that person. It's just they have more life experience to draw from.
That's interesting. So you recommend if there's a single woman watching or listening to this podcast, it's better to look for a single man with kids because he understands sacrifice, understands the dynamics better than a single man who never been married, never had kids, or he's been married before but never had kids.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would say. But then if she has never had children, then it's mute point. Um, but if she has had children, yeah, you kind of need a guy that understands why she's going to drop everything for her kids, and the guy will totally understand that. Like you could be out on a date, and I've heard this. Sometimes the guy goes out and the woman's on the phone texting with the kids back and forth, and the guy gets upset and he says, "Hey, this date, what about us?" But a guy who's had kids, he's going to understand that. Yeah, a really good mom's going to take time to be with her kids because that's just the way it is.
That's interesting. And then now that I'm thinking about it, you're actually promoting yourself, aren't you? Because you have kids.
Yeah, no, not hang on. Let's see.
Are you reading your emails while you're talking? What was that?
Yeah, can you see that?
Oh, call me. Oh, you put your phone. Wait, can you put it again so people can see it?
Yeah.
Sarah said, I will leave it up to God to match me up. He knows me better than I do, and I just need to keep listening to him. Amen. Have you noticed that, like you said, the older you get, if people start having their own ways and they got used to living a single life, that it makes it difficult for them to be in a relationship? Is that true?
I mean, yeah, I've seen that. Like, you have to get, you're so used to, like, my friend calls me the other day, "Hey, do you want to go fishing on Thursday?" And it's like, yeah, okay, I'll go. However, in a relationship, it's a give and take kind of a thing. You have to consider you just can't make a last minute, yeah, I'm going to go. I just can't do that all the time because it doesn't work in a relationship. You always hear guys saying, "Oh, I have to check in with the wife." Or like that, just somebody. Boy, that's another can of worms I want to open up. But anyway, so yeah, it's just having consideration for the other person.
Yeah.
But I'll still go fishing.
You still go fishing. You would go fishing before. Yeah, that's me because I'm married and I can't just say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do this." I have to check with Maha, check the schedule of the kids, and then by the time I go, "Yeah, I'm too tired. I'm not going." But okay, this is awesome. Before we close, I want you to encourage, just encourage the listeners, the single listeners, because we wanted to focus this show on single people. But shoot, we worked so much together. We did so much comedy. Anything funny you remember?
No.
No, nothing funny.
Well, yeah, but
do you remember what?
I can't say that one. Oh, well, I said again. So funny because it's this retreat. Scott Wood was there, right? And I was going to try to get some time in, and we were just talking about some of the just every comic has story. And I just remember the time we did. It was a benefit. It was in Long Beach for the Blue Hairs, Long Beach, and it was Duke Majan. I can't remember the guy who was running, but he was the governor at the time, and yeah, it was his running mate who was the lieutenant governor who was going to. So we had this fundraiser and probably $1,000 a plate dinner, and so we go to this thing. And,
I was there. I did a show
just
for the
before we go up. The guy who's running for governor, who's now lieutenant governor, talks about how he just came from a funeral for an officer that was shot and now leaves his two kids. Like one was 2 years old, one was like 6 months old. And then he says, so let's have a moment of silence for this fallen officer. So we do the fallen officer, moment of silence. Then he breaks the silence, looks up, he goes, "Okay, now we're going to have a comedy show." And I can remember that was probably one of the most difficult comedy shows we ever had to do. I mean, it was like, because I can remember nobody hit anything. Even the headliner at that time, this is years ago, I can't remember his name, but he started out great for 20 minutes, and then the next like 25, 30 minutes, nothing. So
Wow.
following a moment of silence for a fallen officer is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah. Remember one time we were in a cabin, we had several comedians, no, not comedians, several people went to with us, and we kind of tied fishing line to to the kitchen cabinets because we were in the loft, and we waited for everybody to sleep, and we started with the fishing rod trying to open the cabinet doors, open and close it, because someone told us they were like ghosts that live in that cabin. That's why they gave it to us for cheap. You don't remember those days?
I
And we
don't
were.
remember that. I didn't. No.
It was your idea that to tie fishing line to the cabinet so no one can see that there's something. And we're in the loft, and we waited for the people to sleep, and we started moving the rod and the reel, and the cabinet started opening and shutting real fast, and everybody jumped scared, thinking it's a ghost again.
Well,
Anyway,
I didn't remember that.
well, at your age, it's very difficult. I understand. Oh, so anyway, that was awesome. I'm sorry we had a lot of technical difficulties. I hope the sound is clear to people who are gonna listen to this. But thank you so much, man. I mean, if it weren't for you, I would still be in the world doing, you know, secular comedy or a rehab. Of course, not because of you, because Jesus. But you led me to Christ. You always had your faith with you, but you've never been that like in your throat, down your throat Christianity. You've always, you know, you were a godly man. You're still a godly man, and you. But so, what do you tell people as we closing, especially single people who's like, man, my clock has ticked and been gone. I don't know if I ever gonna meet a person. What do you say to that? To them?
It's you I usually have verses, verses that I try to live by, and those basically, every church has a life or a church. Everyone has a life verse, and every church comes up with a verse for that year. Um, I kind of think you just kind of fall into that, and you ask the Spirit to really tell you what is going on with you. Again, it gets back to that whole "to thine own self be true," because I can definitely remember a time when I sat there in a really quiet time, and God said to me, "You're angry," which actually really surprised me. And
Mm.
so I started, kind of working on that issue. So again, it's just really opening your heart to God. Hey, open me up what's really going inside me, not what I believe, what I think. And you can always tell when it's God because it just comes from a different place. And so, as far as looking for someone, just don't let that be your God. Obviously, you let God do that for you. Let Jesus do the work, and all you have to do is follow Him. And now that's an easy pat answer, sort of that Christianese kind of an answer, but
Mm.
that is really kind of the way it is. Just be true to yourself, be true to God, and they'll bring someone that's true to you.
Amen. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Yamo, for I call you Yamo, Kent Yamawaki. Yes, thank you for your time with us. I know uh, I probably will have you again when everything is clear and the sound is clear, and we can talk more. But I appreciate your time. If people want to get a hold of you, if people want to say, "Oh, I would like to join or attend that singles group that he goes to," can you tell us about that?
But yeah, that is on Friday nights. So if you go ahead and go online and look up Orange County Singles for Christ.org, one. So it's OCSF, the number one .org, and we meet on Friday nights. And basically, we start at, I think we just started dinners again since the COVID thing. So now it's 7 o'clock dinner, which you pay for, and then 7:30 we have worship time with a great worship leader, Jessica Speck, and that goes till from 7:30 to 8. Then we have teaching, and then that goes roughly to about 9:30. Then after 9:30 is strictly social hour. We do karaoke every Friday night, and we also, if you always wanted to do it but never had the guts to get up and do it somewhere because of the arrangement, this is the place to do it because it's a church setting and no one's there going to judge you except me. And so that goes on. And then if you love table tennis or ping pong, that goes on as well. So and we are fighting some interesting dynamics currently. So again, we talked about guys in their 40s and stuff. So anyway, that's another whole show. So
So
anyway, that's
how many people attend that Bible study every Friday?
we get about 75 on average to 100. We do dances 46 times a year, and that pulls about 200 to 250. Our next biggest event is going to be the 2nd, which is July 2nd. We're going to have our normal worship time, small amount of teaching time. We've got another magician comic, Dana Daniels, is really good.
Oh yeah, he's really
And then
good.
after that, we're going to have a fireworks show. And then after that, we're also going to have dancing as well. So it's a pretty loaded evening. So that would be very well attended. That's going to be July, the first Friday in July.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Yamo, for your time. Appreciate you. Love you, man. And
Okay.
we'll get together soon. So thank you for your time.
All right. Thanks.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this podcast. And I apologize if there's any audio technical things that happen. We always, there's always things happen with technology and we can't help it. And we don't want to keep apologizing for it. Uh, so thank you so much. I want to encourage you to watch us every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time for the Live with Nash show, where we get to laugh for an hour, encourage you, pray for you, and we'll just have a great time every single weeknight. So we'll see you tonight, and thank you guys for watching this podcast. Please subscribe to it, encourage your friend, let them know they can join us and they can listen to the podcast and subscribe to it. Love you guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you later. God bless.